If you guys like this video, don't forget to hit the like button and subscribe, and don't forget to check me out on social medias. I do have a few social medias I will leave the link to in the description. And with that being said, let's get right to the video. So some big news came out today about the Boston Celtics. I believe you will be seeing this the day after all this happened, but eventually the main story is Danny Ainge, the general manager of the Boston Celtics, was considering retiring, and eventually he did. So the more surprising part about this was that his replacement was almost immediately, and it was the head coach and Brad Stevens. So after 8 years of Brad Stevens being the head coach, everything is different now because he's going to be making the moves. And I just want to take a second to talk about Danny Ainge because, of course, Danny has made, or recently at least, Danny has made some questionable moves. Like for a big one as of recently, the Celtics had a chance on trading for Miles Turner, and all they had to do was trade Gordon Hayward. And I can understand why you wouldn't want to trade Gordon Hayward, but if you have to and you can get a player back like Miles Turner, you definitely do that trade. But instead, Danny Ainge said no, he's fine for whatever reason. And they lost him for nothing because he just signed with the Charlotte Hornets. And there's really nothing to say about that because that was just kind of plain stupid. But yeah, people like to criticize some of the moves Danny Ainge has made, but he has also made some of the better moves, like that Brooklyn trade. Just in case you don't know what I'm talking about the trade that happened in 2013 where the Nets received Paul Pierce and Kevin Garnett for mainly picks. I'm just going to say that because those picks turned out to be, or one of them at least turned out to be, Jaylen Brown, and that was definitely a steal for the Boston Celtics and probably one of the worst trades in NBA history on the net side. But now Brad Stevens will be calling the shots, and it's interesting to see what is he going to do because obviously some moves needs to be made with this team. They just got eliminated in the first round by the Brooklyn Nets, and they are the Brooklyn Nets, so I'm not going to fault them too much for that. But there is clearly some issues going around with this team because out of the two Jays, basically, in Jaylen Brown and Jayson Tatum, you don't have any, or at least consistent offensive production from anybody else but them. And this is a good team to talk about because they do have amazing pieces on the team, like Peyton Pritchard, I really like. Time Lord, I really like. And Jabari Parker has arguably been an amazing pickup for them on the defensive side because after his career going downhill, he joined the Celtics, and he's a really good piece for them. And it's going to be really interesting to see what happens with them next year. But just to talk about the potential coaches that could potentially come with this team, one that made me kind of laugh was Jim Boylan, because if Jim Boylan is on this team, that's going to be a bad look for the Celtics. But I feel like after Brad Stevens being fired, which a lot of people did criticize him as a coach, I do understand why, but I still do think he was a good coach. He did more good things than bad. I still think there's going to be a situation in the upcoming years where the Celtics are hiring and firing coaches like you see multiple teams, or they've been doing, especially the bad ones. But I'm not expecting the Celtics to be bad, but I can't say I expect them to be good either. The Celtics usually have been either around the 4 or 5 range, or this year around the 7 or 8 range. If you asked me which one I can see actually happening, I really do not know because this team is just really inconsistent. They dealt with players missing games because of injuries or protocols or random stuff, but I really just don't see what can I expect from this team. Jayson Tatum, of course, is an amazing player. He had multiple 50-point games this season, and that says a lot. And arguably, you could say he's a top 10 player or right outside the top 10 player list. I'm not here to have that conversation, but something on this team needs to change. And so far, the biggest change that happened so far was adding Brad Stevens to the general manager. And I'm sure he's going to have some help because, of course, all general managers have help, and he is new to this. Besides coaching, he really doesn't have any experience with being in a front office. And that's a really questionable choice. It's kind of like when Steve Nash just became the head coach automatically of the Brooklyn Nets. He wasn't an assistant coach. He didn't have literally any experience being a coach. So this is just one of those moves where it's just like, huh? But yeah, when I saw this happen, I just looked at it and said, is this going to be able to work? I am very interested to see who the Celtics actually make the head coach. It could be somebody who is off the market right now. It could be somebody who is a head coach of a team right now and gets fired. I really don't know. I really can't tell what's going to happen with this team. But it's just a conversation you got to have because it's one of the more interesting teams, or the team overall is probably the biggest what ifs because you really don't know what can happen. A lot of injuries can come in this roster, or the team can just play bad overall. I'm expecting Jayson Tatum and Jaylen Brown to be good. Jaylen Brown was playing amazing to start off the season. Of course, he did slow down, and he was not in the playoffs because of injury. But I'm still expecting him to come back stronger, of course. And I don't know. It's just this Celtics team has the potential to be good, especially with a rookie like Peyton Pritchard who can come in the league and make an impact immediately. And one player I want to talk about who should be safe, but I doubt he is Marcus Smart, because a lot of people put him as the glue guy, which he is, but this team doesn't have much flexibility and they need to make a move in. Marcus Smart is one of their more movable pieces, of course. Another name I can say is probably movable is Robert Williams, even though he has been playing amazing for this team. I don't know if I can say he's safe from being moved, but yeah, I'm definitely going to be paying attention to the Boston Celtics this upcoming season because it is going to be a lot of moves coming. But with that being said, that will be the end of today's video, and I want to thank you guys so much for watching. Just leave a comment. How do you think the Celtics are going to do this season? I'm really interested to hear what you guys have to say, but thank you guys so much for watching. I love every single one of you, and I will see you guys on the next video. Peace.